So there's this thing in the news. I'm not sure you guys have heard of it. COVID-19. It's a virus that's been spreading around the world. I mean, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 is a virus that can cause harm to your body. It is a microorganism. What's a microorganism? So, a microorganism is a very, very small organism. The name is made up of two words which both stem from Greek words. Micro, which stems from the word mikro, meaning small, and organisms comes from the word organismos. Organism is an entity that can perform the properties of life: movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. I'm an organism, a dog is an organism, microorganisms are organisms. I mean, not all, but I'm not going to dissect semantics now. Therefore, a microorganism is an organism that is small. Not just small, it's microscopic small. In fact, even smaller sometimes. So they are so small, we didn't even discover them until the 1670s. It was Antoine van Leeuwenhoek who discovered microbes, and he is now regarded by many as the father of microbiology. Something Antoine didn't discover was that microorganisms can be deadly. Enter Louis Pasteur. He showed the world that microbes are present in the air, water, and your body. He was also hell-bent on proving that microorganisms cause decay, and that they invade the body of a host and cause disease. Curious fact, Louis Pasteur had 5 children. 2 of his children died from typhoid fever, and another died from a brain tumour. Nowadays, we know that not all microorganisms cause us harm. If a microbe does, we call them pathogens. Some pathogens produce poisonous waste substances called toxins. Microorganisms. For the sake of simplicity and to not digress from the main topic, I'll name the basic classification. As you might know, when we classify life forms, we start with 3 domains of life: archaea, bacteria, and eukaryotes. There are 4 types of microorganisms: viruses, which aren't really alive but they're considered microorganisms; bacterium, bacteria; protozoa, types of protists. So protist is a eukaryote that doesn't classify as a plant, animal, or fungi, though it really isn't a natural classification as some protists share more qualities with other eukaryotic organisms within the group. Anyway, I digress. Fungi. Not all fungi, only a few are actually microorganisms. They are part of eukaryotes. Protozoa and fungi belong to eukaryotes. There are no archaea that have proved to be pathogens to humans. Viruses are the smallest of these 4 microorganisms. We need really powerful microscopes to see them. Viruses invade and destroy living cells. They need to enter the living cell, hijack their reproductive system by adding their DNA to the mix and creating thousands of viruses until the cell explodes and all the viruses escape to the new host cell, doomed to the same fate. Viruses are responsible for many diseases like the flu, coronavirus, Spanish flu, swine flu, smallpox, and AIDS. They are acellular, meaning they don't have a cellular structure. Bacteria are unicellular and can live in the body tissue between cells, being truly live, unlike viruses. They need food, warmth, moisture to be able to grow, and if conditions are right, they will multiply very quickly. Here's a thought experiment. Let's say you have bacteria that are using cell division as a means to reproduce. They will grow longer and split in half. Both halves grow longer and split in half again. They do this every 10 minutes. Those are the 3 rules. Right, so we start off with one lonely little bacterium. In 10 minutes, there are 2. In 20 minutes, there are 4. Alright, it might not sound like a lot, but on average nowadays it takes one human 34 years to reproduce and give offspring, so go figure. In 30 minutes, there are 8 bacterium. In 60 minutes, there are 64 bacterium. In a day, you'll have 2 to the power of 144 bacteria. Now imagine if this was a lethal bacteria, and there's nothing to stop it reproducing, and it manages to spread itself, and there's nothing to stop it. This would be enough to kill the whole of humanity. Bacteria can cause countless diseases, which include Tuberculosis, a disease of the lungs, meningitis, pneumonia, cholera, dysentery, flesh-eating disease. Ugh. Protozoa are single-celled eukaryotes such as amoeba. Being eukaryotes, they are much bigger than the aforementioned microbes. They feed on surroundings by absorbing nutrients. Malaria, the world's biggest killer, is caused by protozoa. Fungi, as an average, the biggest of all groups of microbes. I mean, you've seen a mushroom before. Technically, that's a superorganism. Video for another day. It's made up of various threads. I'm 100% sure you've seen mold, though. You know the greenish-blue thing on fruit that's rotting? Well, that's made up of fine little threads, which are the microorganism itself. These can invade cells and absorb nutrients from them. Most fungi are multicellular, but there are single-celled fungi like yeast. In ecosystems, fungi can act as decomposers, some living on decaying substances or living tissues. Actually, some fungi control whole forests through what is known the Wood Wide Web. But that is for a whole other video. Fungi can cause ringworm, athlete's foot, and thrush. Questionably fun fact at the end: a group of microbes is a colony. The more you know. Well, that is it for the video. This is the Post-Scriptum. Because the theme of microorganisms is so large, I've decided to make it a series. The main topics, if you request others, I will, most certainly cover them. Though in the next video, I'll talk about how diseases spread and our means to stop them from spreading. I want to disclose the fact that diseases don't necessarily have to be caused by these microorganisms or by pathogenic agents at all. For example, genetic diseases. Helminths can cause disease. Helminths are a type of worm. Prions are a misfolded protein, and like viruses, their microorganisms are acellular. Helminths are multicellular parasitic worms. They're not technically microorganisms, as most are large enough to see without a microscope. However, these worms fall within the field of microbiology because diseases caused by helminths involve microscopic eggs and larvae. Anyways, you got to the end of the video, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. This took me 20 days. Help.